Welcome to the Fantasmagorium show. On today's show, the best of motion capture performances, why play video games when Hollywood can adapt them, and the continuing tale of an Avenger versus the House of Mouse. Let's go.
And we are live.
Hey, Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, man. Not much, except for Disney seems to be imploding. I mean, that's the big news of the day.
It is, and I'm kind of happy to see them getting shaken down.
A little bit. I don't know if it's a shakedown, but it's definitely a comeuppance, maybe?
Maybe.
Before we get into all that and free for all Friday and bringing on some special guests, we'll do what we do every day. Please like, subscribe, share, do all the things. Hit the little bell, get notifications, do all that stuff. It really helps the channel grow. Like we say every day, subscriptions are awesome, but it's the interaction, the comments, and the questions, along with sharing. That really help the channel get out there and grow. We appreciate you for helping us out that way.
Tell your friends.
And
thank you for subscribing.
Oh, you know what? We'll do this one first. If you'd like to leave a comment, a tip with your comment or question, that is, please do so. www.streamelements.com/Fantasmagorium show /tip. We also have the website you can go to. www.phantasmagoriumshow.com. We got a link to our audio only podcast page. Our shows are there. Some good blogs. Catherine's got a good piece up there, so go check that out when you can. Also, there you'll see our shop for our merchandise. This is a good way for you to help support the channel and get something tangible in return, other than our smiling faces and our witty repertoire. Hopefully it's witty anyways. But yeah.
Oh, no, it's witty.
Yeah.
It's witty.
It is. Yeah, grab a t-shirt, a hoodie. It would really help us out. So thank you for your patronage there. And with that all out of the way, Scotty, why don't we, you know what? Instead of waiting until we get into the lists of things we want to talk about, off the top, we do want to talk about the lawsuit Scarlett Johansson has going with Disney, that whole kerfuffle. So, but let's bring in our special guest for Free for All Friday, and that way we can all kind of talk about it and get all our thoughts on it. We'll bring in first. We'll bring in Terje. Hello, Terje.
Howdy.
Ahoy,
and
sir.
Catherine. Hey, Catherine.
Hello.
Hey, Catherine.
Hey. Hello.
It's a tech of the Android phone, people.
So, everybody's heard by now. We addressed this on the show yesterday that Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney. Late last night, Disney had a reply that I thought was in very poor taste, pretty disgusting the way they replied to her. In fact, they outed her salary. They kind of weaponized her salary and used it as a blunt instrument, along with trying to play the victim using COVID as an excuse when her contract was done way before any COVID happened, which is ridiculous. It was ridiculous on its face, but that added weaponization of putting her salary in there in their statement was really abhorrent, in my opinion. Kevin Feige actually had some thoughts on this. Comes from Matt Bellani's newsletter, and it says Feige is a company man and not prone to corporate showdowns or shouting matches. But I'm told he's angry and embarrassed. He lobbied Disney against the day and date plan for Black Widow, preferring the big screen exclusivity and not wanting to upset his talent. And then when the shit hit the fan. The movie started tanking, and Johansson's team threatened litigation. He wanted Disney to make this right with her. So, I mean, that's from what I've gathered over the years of watching and listening and reading about Kevin Feige. He's always supports his talent. Always. Yeah. So this seems like him doing, what Kevin Feige would do, supporting his talent. In my opinion, he's absolutely right. I think we talked about this yesterday, Scott, that I don't know why, if they were going to do this day and date because of COVID, and they figured that this was their only way that they could broaden the market, make as much money as possible, then why don't you just renegotiate like Warner Brothers did with Patty Jenkins and Gal? It doesn't make sense that they didn't do that, in fact. And according to Feige, it looks like he was like, yeah, just make it right with her. What's the big deal? Right. Yeah. What do you think? What's your take on Feige's, this report on how Feige's feeling?
Well, I thought one of the things that was interesting to me is I was curious to see or hear even scuttlebutt and rumors about whether or not Scarlett Johansson had any conversations with the other Avengers, for lack of a better term, like the other actors who are the core of the MCU, and wondered what that interaction would have been like, whether or not she reached out and got in touch with Robert Downey Jr. or any of the other, like Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, any of her former castmates or former castmates. I don't think we'll be seeing Black Widow anytime soon again. Right. Just to find out what that would have been like. And now it didn't even occur to me about reaching out to Kevin Feige, because that makes the most sense. He has been not only protective, but just sort of supportive of the entire MCU cast. And with the outline for phase 4 that he released a few weeks ago, he is very specific in what he says. And so it doesn't seem like something that he would have wanted to have aired in public. But it makes sense that Feige would go to bat. And it also Disney's response makes sense to me, because they are sort of, as far as they're concerned, the kings of the entertainment industry right now. They basically own most viable properties. So them saying, no, we're just going to do what we want anyway, sounds very much like a Disney move.
Yeah, I want to get both Catherine and Turjay's response, but this news dropped earlier today too, from the same newsletter. Matthew Bellani, a former editor of The Hollywood Reporter, said in his newsletter, "What I'm hearing," is the title of the newsletter, that Emma Stone, star of Cruella, is said to be weighing her options. He also suggested Emily Blunt could speak soon after the release of Jungle Cruise as well. He described Disney as notoriously difficult to deal with. And that's what creatives have been saying to him behind the scenes. So it looks like not only Scarlett, but Emma Stone and maybe even Emily Blunt, they're like weighing their options, and I'm sure they have the same kind of deal set up. Like, listen, these were supposed to be theatrically released movies. Now, whether or not, I mean, there's an argument. I guess you could. I think I even made the argument that I thought everybody that was going to see Black Widow saw Black Widow, and that it wouldn't have legs. But there's no way to know that, right? So it's incumbent upon Disney to make that right, just like it was incumbent on Warner Brothers to make it right with their actors and creatives. I just don't understand the thinking. And I'll tell you what, Bob Chapek, I think, is burning the fucking house down at Disney. I would not be surprised if there's an emergency board meeting going on right now at 1:09 Pacific time here in California, calling him into the board for a what have you, and what for kind of, dressing down, because what the hell, man.
Yes, and especially considering that response. Now, Kat, I know you wrote an article for the Fantasmagorium Show blog.
I did.
And what are your thoughts in regards to this whole brouhaha?
So it's very bizarre that they wouldn't have renegotiated the contract once they decided to do in the day and date thing, because of course you're going to sue. It's like when the
Yeah.
majority of your salary is based on back end box office for movies, which was a safe assumption would make near $1 billion. Obviously, that's why she signed that contract. But to say that, oh well, we're just going to do this day and date thing, we're not going to renegotiate the contract, and what were they thinking was going to happen? That she wasn't going to notice? I mean, she's a producer on the movie even.
Right.
And Disney's response is particularly asinine because it's like, accusing her of being callous disregard for the pandemic. And I'm thinking, excuse me, you strive to keep your theme parks open throughout the pandemic. You even rolled out the red carpet at your LA parks for the governor and the mayor and other public health officials to demonstrate how your
Right.
COVID protocols were good enough to reopen. And rather than using any of your near $130 billion net worth to support your park employees, you laid them all off no sooner than the pandemic started. So getting on their high horse about that's going to blow up in their face big time, as it should. Outing your talent salary is not really okay. Other times, usually the talent has to greenlight that to say, oh, you've made this much money. And they're trying to say that to make the argument that, oh, you've already made 20 million. Who cares when you're making, how much money is this company making hand over foot? I mean, I saw a report the other day that Disney actually didn't lose that much money overall during the pandemic. I mean, in their parks division, they did, but they still made tons of profits on merchandising. It's not like the company's hurting. So for them to take this type of stance, we saw what happened with Warner Brothers. So when they did their day and date thing, they immediately had lawsuits with other production companies. So I think you're right, Steve. There's definitely going to be a meeting of some kind, because I don't see this going to trial. I mean, it has to be settled out of court because obviously Disney's going to lose. I mean, they said that her lawsuit has no merit. But, right, and they're like, oh, her lawsuit has no merit, but you didn't address the contested issue, which is that it was in the contract specifically. So we'll see where this goes, but it just looks really bad for Disney now.
It's very interesting that the parks are the only thing that lost money, and Bob Chapek was directly over the parks before he took the new CEO role. Interesting kind of dynamic there. I don't know if maybe he stepped into a job that was above his pay grade a little too far. I don't know. I had high hopes when he took over that things would keep going the way that Uncle Bob had run it for so long, and in a great way, I thought. Made great moves, getting Star Wars, getting Marvel, getting all these things, kind of shepherding them along. Whether do you like the product that come out of it or not, that's kind of here, regardless to this conversation.
Right.
But man, it's just bewildering to me that they didn't just say, yes, you absolutely have an argument here. What can we do to fix it? We don't want this to get out and become a thing. Let's, it's just, I don't know. I can't, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't try to renegotiate that deal. That makes absolutely no sense, unless they're just, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they're thinking. Sergey, what do you think?
Well, when I first heard the news of Scarlett Johansson suing them over the contract, my initial thoughts were, well, I was just thinking, oh, geez, she just wants more money. And being the little guy, I'm like, how much money do you need? Mm-hmm. Like every Hollywood star, even though they get paid a lot or little, they usually get a lot of money, more money than I'll most likely see in my entire life.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction was kind of, I thought it seemed greedy and just out of place. But then I started, delving more into the story. And when I saw Disney's response, it kind of changed to the other side. And that's, it's okay to admit that you were wrong. We're all disposition to take, run away with our feelings and see what we think. And I've slightly moved over to the side of actually siding with Scarlett in this case. And I also saw a point you were saying about the movie not going to theaters. My hometown is in the northern part of Norway, and it's much smaller than, say, Oslo or any of the other big cities. But my hometown actually didn't put the movie in its theater because it was released on Disney Plus. So they were kind of guessing that many people wouldn't come to see it. And being a small town with a small cinema, they have to take into account when they buy a movie into their cinema, they have to be sure that they actually have people who come to see it. So that actually made my hometown cinema decide not to put up Black Widow in the cinema. And that means no ticket sales.
Right. And that's really interesting. And that's kind of why I'm enjoying the Stick It to Disney in terms of, and it's also just the entire thought. And as we've discussed on the show a couple of times, Steve, and I'm sure we've had this conversation, Kat and Terje, just in regards to the day and date releases and the competition. We've discussed I got some crinkle.
I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Neither did I. Anyway, it sounds like weather. We have a weather problem. Do you guys hear that?
It was Terje. I got it.
Okay,
See,
thank you.
Fix that.
But in terms of that, in the competition between the film distributors and the theaters, and them having complaints, and this is the argument that they had ages ago with Tower Heist, and they're like, fine, if you want to do it VOD, then we are not going to show the movie in theaters at all. And so that is representative what Terje just said with his town, and I can understand smaller markets not wanting to have to pay for the theatrical release, which does cut in to the talent getting paid what they were promised and negotiated in their contracts. And this didn't come out of the blue. It's not like one day Scarlett Johansson said, I want more money. She obviously would have had to approach Disney Legal and say, what are we doing about this? And they would have basically strong-armed it. Oh no, we lost Terje.
Yeah.
But that's that I find that it's almost like now it's at two fronts attacking the studio, which, hey, I want to see the talent come back. You're not going to be able to make these kinds of movies without top tier talent, and you're not going to be able to showcase them to the widest audience without the theaters who are going to say, yeah, okay, at least we feel confident in distributing your product.
Yeah, I look, I get that kind of knee-jerk reaction at first, like, oh, how much money do they really need? You know, Terje was right, you know.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I feel the same way when it's like that. You know, we're a very litigious society here anyways.
Yes.
It's still bad, dude. But I look, this is a serious breach of contract. This was negotiated well ahead of time. These were the parameters of the contract. This is business cut and dry. In fact, her representation, CAA co-chair Brian Lord, put out a statement, and he says, Scarlett has been Disney's partner on 9 movies, which have earned Disney and its stakeholders billions. The company included her salary in their press statement in an attempt to weaponize her success as an artist and businesswoman. And if that were something she should be, as if that were something she should be ashamed of. Scarlett is extremely proud of the work that she and all of the actors, writers, directors, producers, and the Marvel creative team have been a part of well over a decade. Yeah. I mean, you know, this suit was filed as a result of Disney's decision to knowingly violate Scarlett's contract. They have very deliberately moved the revenue stream and profits to the Disney Plus side of the company, leaving artistic and financial partners out of their new equation. That's it, pure and simple. Good statement from your representation, and he's right. You know, the way I see it. I just don't see Disney having any kind of leg to stand on there. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not looking at the right angle, but Catherine?
Yeah, they don't really have a leg to stand on, and I think once Disney Legal gets involved, because certainly Disney Legal didn't put out that statement. Somebody else in the PR department who clearly hasn't been thinking about what Disney's been doing during the pandemic just put that out there, and it's like, they're probably really eating their hats today on that. But I agree with the sentiment that nobody is worth like $20 million up front for an acting role. No way. And there's certain actors who have not had prolific careers because they keep trying to demand that type of money. But if it's a back end deal in percentages, and that's completely up in the air. Like, for example, Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams took no salary on Hook. It was purely back end box office. But when that movie failed to take off in the way they thought, they barely made a few $1 million out of it. But they didn't complain because that was, they rolled the dice on it. Like Robert Downey Jr., he came away with he had back end percentages for Endgame, and that's how he walked away with 75. But there's no way that Marvel would have offered him that up front to be in the movie. So I agree that 20 million is a lot to have already made on the back end, but if this is more of a principal violation of contract thing, and again, I don't see how Disney's going to get out of it. They're going to have to. I predict that this will be settled out of court relatively quickly. And if Feige, I didn't hear about the Feige news until you brought it up, and now that he's really upset about it, I'm pretty sure that's going to be even more of an incentive for Disney to settle this really really quick.
The one guy, the one creative that you do not want to get pissed off at Disney is Kevin Feige, and it looks like he's not happy. I wouldn't say pissed off, but he's certainly not happy.
And it's also, I have to say that it's never cool when a giant company just gets to do what the hell it wants to do. Even though actors are well paid, they have a good job, they have a cool life, it's still not cool for like a big conglomerate who has like endless money and endless resources to just go ahead and do what they want to do.
And look, just pushing back on that just a little bit about, nobody deserves or needs that kind of money. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But you don't often get what you deserve or what you believe you're worth. You get what you and your agents negotiate.
Exactly.
That's just the way it works,
Absolutely.
If you guys build a contract and both parties are happy with the terms, you got to stick by those terms, or else this is going to happen. I'm surprised that Disney let this go public. It shocks me that this wasn't just handled under the rug or behind the door, closed doors, and just handled it done. This having come out
because that statement they put up makes them sound like they were blindsided by it. I'm like,
right,
you're right. How did they not settle this before? How could you be surprised by this, happening?
Well, and it was a day late, or it wasn't a day late, but it was a day late and $1 short, in my opinion. But it was late. Like Scotty and I said on the show yesterday, the fact that Disney didn't have a statement ready to fire out as soon as this news came out tells me that they negotiated and didn't like the outcome. Right? I think they probably offered Scarlett Johansson a shit sandwich package, and her people said no thanks.
And maybe she's actually just playing hardball. Maybe they were surprised. Maybe they were thinking that they were going to go back and forth a few more times and see what happened. And maybe she actually just got pissed off, or management got pissed off, and she just threw the ball.
That could be, but I find it's just hard to believe that that Disney couldn't figure out a way to make it right. That her and her people would say, "Oh yeah, okay, that's fine." It just that's odd to me.
And I know with certain theaters, smaller independent theaters, Disney has always had the mentality of this is our property, and if you don't like it, then you won't get it. I remember the hubbub regarding the Hateful Eight, and that was released around the same time as either The Rise of Skywalker or The Last Jedi, one of the two. And it was a matter of if you wanted the Star Wars movie, then you had to be exclusive of the Star Wars movie in your theater for a certain period of time. They upped the percentage of how much money their cut was going to be if they did showcase it. And it was even so much that Tarantino was like, you guys are literally shaking us down. You are making we can't compete with you. And they were like, it doesn't matter. We're Disney. We have the biggest stuff, the biggest toys. Go F yourself. Yeah. And now it is somewhat poetic justice, or at least it pleases the Schadenfreude in me to have someone go up and say, no, you pay us now. And with this tone deaf statement in return, it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter how well you think you are in your position, how strong you find your position, you can still be wrong and you can still lose. And I think this is going to be one of those instances where they lose.
I agree with you. And the fact, the simple fact that we touched on this yesterday too, is they're picking and choosing which movies are on Disney Plus and aren't on Disney Plus, POV, day and date. That right there, I believe, is going to be the crux of their defense or their argument. And it's going to kill Disney because there's no way they can come up with a good defense of that because they're picking and choosing.
I don't think this is going to kill Disney. I think this just sort of paints them in the more negative light that
It's going to kill the argument.
Yes.
In this particular case.
Yes. And I agree with you 100% on that. But I think it paints them in the light that perhaps I saw them as before, and maybe some people hadn't really viewed it that way. And I do love all the properties that they put out. Some of the stuff that they put out is hit. Some of it is missed. It doesn't all have to work for me. It's just when you get into the business side of show business, I've never heard anyone walking away from a Disney business deal being like, I'm entirely satisfied, and that was a friendly experience.
Right.
So,
well, yeah, you heard the other big legal news the other day, Disney related. Apparently, a lot of the Disney employees down at the parks had filed a lawsuit against them because when Disney got subsidies from the city of Anaheim to expand their parking lot and other structures, they guaranteed that they would pay living wages to their employees per what the local economy was stating, and they haven't been doing that. And so the lawsuit just got upgraded to a class action lawsuit. It's like the judge threw out Disney's excuse there too, and I'm like, how does it? You would think that this stuff wouldn't really happen for a company that's that rich, and you would think they'd have to be that smarter than this. Kind of like when the Warner Brothers thing happened, it almost seemed like that's a joke. That couldn't possibly have happened, but then it did, and so it's just it's crazy.
Disney isn't as friendly and fuzzy as when I was a kid.
Yeah, ditto, man. Same deal.
Yeah, I do believe the corporate culture there, the C-level culture, is we're the big swinging dick in town, and we get to do whatever the hell we want to. They're learning quickly, I think, that's not necessarily going to be the case going forward.
Well, and also they're just in terms of their business representation of who they are, what the brand of Disney is, and now that they do have all of these other properties, and with the acquisition of Fox, and with like Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R, and I don't know if it's never there have been wings of Disney, like with Touchstone or Miramax. They've released restricted movies, but never the ones that were sort of under the Disney banner. And now that Deadpool is back in the MCU, that's going to be a thing. Everyone knows that Fox is owned by Disney. And so when they eventually start doing things with the Alien properties, like these are going to be a very big change in how they are presented. And it's interesting that they don't, as Terje said, this is not the Disney from our youth. This is not like the magical world of Disney with Walt introducing us to Tinkerbell or something. This is a media conglomerate that now has not necessarily the most family-friendly movies. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but it is a shift in how the public will perceive them, because ultimately Aliens is going to be a Disney movie. So, yeah.
It's like at some point they turned into OCP.
Well, I was trying to find a good cyberpunk giant conglomerate business, like more a Wayland Yutani.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate, but I don't know. We're just going to have to see it. It's unfortunate that it got this far and that we're actually talking about it. This should have been handled completely, in-house and under the radar.
And I'm surprised that happened too.
I hope they're under the opinion that every kind of PR is good PR.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, because they're not being shown in a good light right now for sure. In the last couple weeks here with these lawsuits. And
I don't know how it would go now, but I guess that if you wanted to support Scarlett Johansson, and in this, you go see Black Widow in the theaters. Is
I suppose.
is it a thing where you raise up a stink? Like I heard some people discussing Masters of the Universe and saying that perhaps the negative press and the people who have been the loudest detractors to that show, maybe it was all in mind and planned to sort of raise attention for something that was a relatively small property for the general public. I know that we've had conversations with people who really like it, but it's not something that would have garnered this much attention had it not been for that outrage. And I'm wondering if this is also, pay attention to Black Widow now, because this is we may need you to go to the theater to help out Scarlett or something along those lines. Like, people are talking about Black Widow again when we all thought it was, very successful, fastest to 100 million post or waning days of pandemic. And now people may be interested. I guess we'll see what it's like when the box office numbers are released on Monday. But with Jungle Cruise coming out, the interesting thing about Emily Blunt and Emma Stone having sort of mulling over whether or not they're going to follow in these footsteps, I'm surprised Dwayne hasn't said anything.
Right.
Like, if maybe he didn't have the back end deal with how.
I mean, I would assume they both did, or would have. But I don't know.
I would think that as great as of an actress as Emily Blunt is, as prolific as her career has been, she's not nearly as big as a box office draw as Dwayne Johnson. So
True.
I would think that in addition to a back end deal for him, he probably had a bigger upfront paycheck as well, and he maybe just doesn't want to wade into that. Like, he doesn't, like, everybody who's met him says that he is the same guy on camera and in interviews that he is off camera. Like, he's just as genuine. I don't picture him as a guy who's it's like, hey, I've got my mind settled. I don't think he's gonna be as interested in picking that fight, especially if he got paid pretty decently up front. Because plus he's got a lot of other projects going on right now, and it's like, do you want to get involved in a potentially lengthy lawsuit type thing? Maybe not. And then they're thinking about their own brand image and PR, and it's like, he doesn't really feel the need to do that, perhaps.
Yeah, he totally strikes me more like the kind of guy who would just say, well, okay, that's the way it was. Moving on, I'll do the next project. And he seems kind of too nice to actually go into a big legal
or it's
battle
like, okay,
over
you're
some
gonna
money
do
he
this to
doesn't
me
need.
now. I'm gonna play hardball next time.
Right.
And I suppose that every agency in town in La La Land is now sort of like, we got to start going over our contracts and double checking, because don't forget, when the actor gets paid, so does the agent. So there is money to be had, and it's not just Scarlett Johansson saying, I want my money. It's Scarlett Johansson's representation wanting their money, and it's a bunch of other,
all of it, agents, all of them. Everybody gets a taste.
Yeah. And so they always say in the electronic press kits that it's movie making is a collaboration, and it's like, and sometimes you got to pay people for that collaboration, Disney. Sorry.
But I have to say, I'm one of the guys who actually bought access to Black Widow on Disney Plus. It just suited me. I had a friend over. My kids were home. I wanted to see it, so we split the difference, and I bought access to it, and we paid half each.
Yeah, I'm a supporter of doing that. I don't know. I'm still kind of. I can be convinced that the day and date may need to be moved a week or 2 or 3 or 4, but kind of regardless of that actual, whether that's a good idea or not. I mean, those are arguments that we can have, but that wasn't in the contract. Right. So for this particular thing, her contract, they broke her, they violated her contract, and they needed to make it right. The fact that they didn't do that, it really shines a bad light on them. Go ahead.
With such a long relationship that they've had with Scarlett Johansson as well. Like, I don't know why this is something that would be so publicly addressed.
Anybody has any closing on this topic? Go ahead.
Well, I think part of it is, like Scott, you were saying earlier, that Disney's response is kind of typical, given they're kind of at top of the mountain right now. They just kind of get arrogant and think, oh, we're invincible, we can get away with this, and they're just not really thinking about it. And then, like what happened at Warner Brothers, oh, I'm going to do this because I want to please AT&T because they prioritize streaming. Oh yeah, the actors and the producers won't care. They just kind of think they can flippantly get away with it, and then they can't.
Right. Yeah, and also it is. I can understand trying to get as much money in a compromised movie-going world that we live in right now. Just you can't get people into seats, and trying to maximize your revenue. But the purpose of you maximizing your revenue is not so you can have a Scrooge McDuck pool of money. You are going to have to distribute that elsewhere, and it's not just going to be executive raises all the time. And especially considering the shenanigans that are going on with the parks. So anyway.
So I guess in closing, get your act together, Disney. Do the right thing
again.
Quit fucking around. Let's go through some of these comments, and then we'll jump into our top 10 best motion capture performances in film.
Outstanding. So where do we got? The Edge of Time says word to you, Edge of Time. Yay! I think that's about Disney comeuppance. Tim's Talk. Hey, Tim. Hello there. Fuego. Tim's Talk says Andy Serkis is the best motion capture actor. Schmiegel. I like shit sandwiches with ketchup, though. Thanks, Tim.
Okay. Yeah, ketchup is no-go for me. I'm not a big ketchup guy.
I am also not a ketchup guy, Steve. That's why we're friends. Tim's Talk. Apparently Emma Stone is suing for Cruella. And
we don't know that.
It's
just kind of a report that she's mulling it over. And that's, look, she's not the only one. There's we heard of all of these other production companies and talent that were kind of doing the same thing over at Warner Brothers when they decided to release their slate day and date this year. So it's going to happen. Hopefully these studios do the right thing. Obviously, going forward, all the contracts will be written, in a different way. But I don't look. That's a lot of money. They're making good money. It is pandemic. Just make it right. It doesn't mean you have to, back up the Brinks truck for these people. But I think if they would have made a reasonable accommodation, that Scarlett Johansson or people would have said yes. But it sounds to me like they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's my take on it, anyways.
Oh, the Richard. Hello. Aloha, the Richard says, your order is ready for pick at Tim's Talk. So, Tim, I think you should get in touch with the Richard. One shit sandwich with ketchup. No ketchup.
No ketchup.
And yes. Tim's Talk responding to the Richard. Yes. Aloha, Richard. It's nice to see you, sir. Tim's Talk says this streaming service thing is relatively new, especially with the theaters opening back up. And it is the day and date and all of these negotiations. But I can understand, and I'm surprised that I didn't even think that it was only a matter of time before the actors started saying things, because I do know, like Christopher Nolan said with Tenet, it was frowned upon greatly, and that nearly, if not completely, destroyed his relationship with Warner Brothers. So
I was going to say it severed it. I'd be shocked to see Nolan do another film with Warner Brothers. And maybe at some later date. But his next film, we have to be ready for the fact that there's going to be a lot of discussions in the years to come over how movie theaters work and how movies are going to be put out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Christopher Nolan's the one who primarily tanked Tenet, because he was the one who insisted that it come out that year, because Warner wanted to delay it until 2021.
Correct.
Mm. So that fell back on him. But it's like
yeah.
I just wish it wasn't Tenet. No, he wasn't wrong. I just wish that Tenet was a better movie. That's all.
No, I liked Tenet. I thought it was good.
I was not as wowed as I wanted to be. I thought it was going to be a lot better. Edge of Time says no one is steering the ship. You know what? I think it's worse than that. I think the people who are steering the ship, a little boat called the Titanic, will be fine. Go faster.
Yeah, right.
It might be Mickey Mouse with no pants.
There we go. Little Steamboat Willie going on.
Yeah.
And
Shea
the Richard still says I still want to see Cruella. I should. I'm sort of any of these Disney movies that were released with the $30 price tag when they were day and date. They also, when they announced when they were being released, they also said what time when they were going to be available on Disney Plus with the price of the subscription. So I will see Cruella. I'm not super excited for it, but I have Disney Plus. I am feeding this monster, Steve.
I know, me too, because I will see it too. I wouldn't pay the premium, but I do want to see it. I heard it's good. I heard it's actually really good.
I heard the soundtrack is killer. The Richard says, I'm just waking up. Eyes are still crusty. Well, you know what?
Wake up, Rich.
Cup of Joe, buddy. Cup of Joe.
Cup of Joe and a washcloth.
Yeah, that always works. All right, let's jump into this list. So
yes,
we got this list from Variety. They put together a list, top 10 best motion capture performances in film. Figured we'd run down the list and kind of chat about it, and then we'll get to our next list. But this one's up first. Go ahead.
Before we get into it, and it's the top 10 best motion capture performances. Does anyone want to take bets on how many times Andy Serkis is on here? I'm going to say 3 times.
Yeah, that was actually my thought as well. 3.
Yeah. For everything he's ever done. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to take a bet. I won't bet.
Okay.
That's a sucker's bet.
Fair enough.
Okay. Number 10, Rosa Salazar in Alita Battle Angel. Now, a lot of people didn't like Alita Battle Angel. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I really liked it. I thought it was really
good. In the theater, maybe that's why, because I saw it on a big screen, and it's just like it was beautiful to look at. I don't think I don't think the story was the strongest it could have been, right? But it was really good.
It's a good popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
No, I enjoyed it. I thought she did really well. Although there's something about, like, obviously it's part of the character, the size of the eyes and everything and all of the fantastic. I think with the cybernetic the augmentations that she has, I thought that was great. But Rosa Salazar is a fox without big eyes. So I even like the short trek she was in, and I was like, she looks good in a Starfleet uniform. So yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you should see it. It's good. Number 9. Gotcha. Alan Tudyk in iRobot 2004. He comes in at number 9.
Yeah, he was in that.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long time, but I'm actually going to see it pretty soon because I have this movie club thing going with someone else we know. Mm-hmm. So that's the next movie we're going to watch and discuss. I haven't seen it since it came out, so I didn't really love it when it came out. So I'm excited to see if my views on it has mellowed. But I do have to say his performance in the movie was impressive, even though I might not have loved the movie.
Yeah. Alex Proyas. I do like his films. So this one I didn't love as much as some of his other films, but iRobot comes in at number 9. Scott?
I enjoy iRobot. I like Alan Tudyk anytime.
Yeah, right.
I see him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. Yeah.
Well, and I wonder,
go ahead.
Would he get credit for a motion capture role as the robot in Rogue One, as the droid? Pardon me.
I would. You know what? Yeah. Did he do mocap for that, or did he just voice the character?
I don't know.
There was behind the scenes picture. Yeah, he was on mocap because he was on the stilts.
Well, I don't know. We're only at number 8. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Number 8 is Ty Sheridan in Ready Player One, 2018.
Has everyone seen Ready Player One?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And
I like the movie, but I don't think any of the performances of the motion capture performances really stand out.
No, I didn't think so.
The movie as a whole is fun, but I can't say I really thought that oh God, they made a good character there.
Yeah,
it's on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
And I saw it, and I'd read the book, and I saw the movie, and I don't know why, but something, I don't know, it felt a little hollow for me for Ready Player One. I don't know why it didn't tickle my funny bone, because it's a movie that is made for all my pop culture references, but it was. I didn't find it all that engaging, unfortunately, for me.
For me, it was eye candy. I didn't really care for the storyline. I thought the storyline was generic, but it was kind of eye candy. I did watch it, but I watched it at home.
Yeah, and I saw it in the theater, and it was.
And I believe Ty Sheridan plays the dad, right? He's not playing the main character. I think he plays the dad in that. So
Ty Sheridan?
Yeah,
no,
right.
He plays Parzival. Wade Watts. He plays. Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah. Wade Watts. Yeah, Parzival. Okay. My bad. Number 7, Jason. I think it's Cope, 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 in District 9, 2009.
Well, and that was just
that was good.
Yeah, the performances in that, and especially and having such an alien character be imbued with the personality that he did. I really enjoyed the movie, and I thought it was a technical marvel, and it also had enough heart that I didn't feel like it was just eye candy. It's strange, because you watch something like Elysium and it's a little cold, but District 9 was not a cold movie in my opinion.
No, not at all. Yeah,
didn't he make Chappie as well?
Yeah,
I haven't seen Chappie. That's what I haven't seen.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But District 9, I love District 9, and I'm still hurt by the fact that he never got to make his Alien movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 6, Andy Serkis in King Kong.
Here he is. There's one.
Yeah, and that was impressive. I saw him on the Graham Norton show, where he demonstrated how to walk like a gorilla, and he had these small stilts on his hands to extend his hands, and it was amazing. Just watching him go around on that stage acting like a gorilla, totally amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. Number 5. Go ahead, Scotty.
No, I just recently rewatched King Kong, and the first time I saw it, I felt like it was a book report. But the second time I watched it, I got into it a lot more. I don't know what changed, and that was a really, again, having Kong with that personality and emotional center. Like I liked the character of Kong, and I finally understood Kong falling in love with the actress. I forget the character's name. I know it's Naomi Watts, but I thought that their interaction, as bizarre as that particular pairing can go, I thought it was really touching.
2005. So I didn't really like this movie. It's not that I didn't care for it. It was just, I felt it was way too long. I feel like you could have cut out the first hour of the movie, and it would have been a tighter movie. Maybe not the whole hour, but maybe the first 45 minutes.
Well, and that was how I came out with a director's cut that was even longer. So
was there? Oh,
yeah.
I love the director's cut. Yes, 3 hours 38 minutes, I believe.
Maybe that'll be my homework, Scotty. I'll redo King Kong 05 director's cut.
Well, there's a lot of good scenes in that movie. Each time I see them down in this pit with these giant caterpillars, my skin crawls because I hate insects like that. So that's like a real horror for me.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5. Guess who? Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis.
Rise of the Planet of the Apes, 2011. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. His Caesar was, especially in this movie, was really good.
Although if I had a choice between which Andy Serkis performance in which Planet of the Apes movie, it would have been the second one.
Dawn, that's my favorite one out of the trilogy.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's right. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, right? Is that the second one? Or am I completely off? Okay.
Yeah, the one where
it is the
the
second one. It's
humans
odd
find
that's
them.
the title.
Yeah, I thought that one was awesome. I'm like, man, this is a good movie.
I
liked all three.
It's one of those amazing movies where you
blah blah blah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's one of those amazing movies where you come out at the end and you hate your own species.
Right.
It's like
Yep.
when you're finished watching that movie, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I fucking hate humans."
Mhm.
Right. Number 4 is Zoe Saldana for Avatar.
I don't know if I'm not qualified to comment on it. I've only seen it once, and that was in the theater, so I haven't seen it in 3D.
Oh yeah.
And I liked it when I was watching it, but I've never had any desire to revisit it. Now I know people who love this movie and they'll watch it like it is their go-to. Okay, I got a new TV. Let's watch Avatar, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go outside. Not because I dislike the movie that badly. It's just like I don't really need to spend more time watching Avatar. It's going to be interesting when the
Fern
sequels
Gully
come
in
out.
space.
Well,
Dances
that's
with
the
wolves in space.
exactly, and
Pocahontas in space.
Yeah.
yep, all of the in space.
The story isn't original. The story isn't even that good, but I
Last Samurai
do
in
have to
space.
say I enjoy the
Right.
technological marvel of it. I do.
Yes.
Yes.
It's beautiful to look at. But her performance was amazing.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, she made a
that
character
was-
come alive.
Number
Jake Sully.
3. We're going back to Planet of the Apes. This time, number 3 is Toby Kebbell in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes as Koba.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a particularly strong character, and he
Yes,
played
totally.
it well, very well.
I guess the biggest compliment I could give the actor playing that character is that I didn't think there was an actor there.
Yeah, right.
I just see Koba.
Mm-hmm.
Koba is the character. There's no actor there. There's this chimpanzee called Koba, and he's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I feel the same way with Andy Serkis' Caesar, and that's like I just saw it. How did they get those monkeys to do that?
Yeah,
So
it has to be the ultimate praise when you actually forget that there's an actor there.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then
number 2, we're down to number 2. The last two. Number 2, Josh Brolin in Avengers: Infinity War as Thanos.
Yeah.
That was great work.
And
And I think I'm sorry, Scott. And I think the work, not only was his work great, but it was aided by very good effects on top of his performance. Right?
Oh yeah. And he played that character. There's so many sides to the character. Like when they find him after he's made the snap. He's just like living secluded at this farm. And that's a total different character than the homicidal maniac overlord. So yeah, it's a very impressive character and a very good job.
Well, and I wasn't expecting the sympathy or the depth of character that Thanos brought. And I thought it was a great performance. There are a bunch of little character nuance moments in both films, both Endgame and Infinity War, where it's really interesting because, and I don't want to say that this is I noticed the actor, but I did notice the flourishes that Josh Brolin gave Thanos as a character. I thought were interesting beyond just being a giant grimace monster. Right. So it was a nuanced character, and I enjoyed his performance very much.
I just wish he was more purple than pink, but that's a nitpick for another time.
Well, that's the effect work. I also would love for his chin to look a little less like Homer, but it's still a good character.
It is, very much so.
Love for him to be a bit more insane like in the comics.
Yeah. And Josh Brolin, I thought, brought a lot of, I know this is an overused term, but gravitas to the role. Moving on to our number 1, of course.
Who could it be?
Who could it be? Because we haven't said it yet. Andy Serkis in The Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers is the one they picked as his best work. And that's probably correct. I think that's the one we get the most of that character out of the 3. I mean, what do you say?
He carries big parts of that movie.
Right.
Well, and is that the is that the film that has sort of the conversation argument debate between Gollum and Smeagol?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was interesting just to see the two sides of that character. And I think I saw some of the behind the scenes, it may have even been a montage praising Andy Serkis's motion capture work, but how he basically did perform that in one, like not in one take. Obviously, there would have been multiple takes, but he was bouncing back between the characters.
Mhm.
He was literally acting with himself, and it was
Yeah.
impressive to see that. I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan, but I'm sort of in the same boat. I appreciate its technical genius and mastery, and that is certainly one of the credits to it is Andy Serkis as Gollum.
And of course, in like a cinema history kind of thing, wasn't that also like the first time that a motion capture figure really felt that alive?
I think
Yes.
so. I think it's credited as the first time they, as obviously he was used mocap previous to the Lord of the Rings, but really brought everything together to create this kind of, real life almost character on screen.
Yeah, and it still holds up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't want to make an Ahmed Best joke, but like that would have been a mocap performance that I think people they may take issue with, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, did they actually use the mocap harness gear, or was it just green screen and he just was a stand-in? I don't remember.
I know that on set he'd walk around in like a rubber costume with like these sunglasses on so the actors wouldn't be prone to look at his eyes, and he had like the Jar Jar head coming up behind him for the eyeline. But on set I can't remember if it was motion capture, just purely digital, or maybe they brought him into I can't really remember.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if the technology was actually there yet for Ahmed, for Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I don't know. 100%.
I just like talking about Jar Jar.
I know.
Yeah.
I do know that Peter Jackson's team did go to Skywalker Ranch to get a lot of pointers on how to do a lot of the digital stuff they're doing on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So they might have gotten a few pointers for that and then ran with it. Because Weta had to prove to the producers that they could actually handle Gollum, because they were going to hand that off to ILM, and they said, no, we want to do this ourselves.
Yeah. And Weta was born, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Weta's a great VFX company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's our top 10. What did you guys think of the top 10? Pretty solid list.
Good list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought so too. Let's hop back over to the comments before we move on to our video games that deserve movie adaptations.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I know. I kind of feel the same way, but we'll get there. We'll get through it.
Edge of Time says, "Live pants free, sweet Prince. Live pants free, sweet Prince Donald." I've been sort of peeking in. I'm assuming you're referring to Donald Duck. Alita Army, yes, the Richard. There are dozens of us. The Richard says, "Forgot about iRobot." Yeah, it's. I don't know. I like it because of the performances. I like it because of the actor, but it is, and I like Alex Proyas. I loved Dark City, but there is something, I don't know, maybe even just a little sterile about iRobot, but I'd have to revisit it. It's been a while since I've seen it.
It's unfortunate that it seems to be that one kind of slips out of mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that
I also had a hard
iRobot.
time. I also had a hard time swallowing their nostalgia. Where in the beginning he was like, "Oh, you had Air Nikes, and oh, look, there's nostalgia." And yeah, well, it isn't nostalgia for us yet, so it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Oops, what did I do here?
Edge of Time says, "Donald has always been more popular and made more money. The mouse was just the elder." Is Donald a more successful character than Mickey Mouse? Donald Duck?
I don't know. We'll have to next time I talk to Tom Jr. Jackson, I'll ask him. He seems to be the Disney aficionado in our little group of friends.
Makes sense. The Richard says, I didn't like how rubbery the robots were in iRobot. And it wasn't I thought it was sort of like that gel molded plastic that I liked that look.
I didn't mind it either because at the time, that's kind of what we thought. That's what we were using, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of as far as we had gotten in robotics at that time. That's kind of what informed, I think, the maker, the artist who created that look to begin with. So I didn't mind it. It would have been, I mean, obviously it would have been cool if they went another way, but I thought it was fine.
I want to see what year it came out.
I have it here, right here, if I can find it.
2004. So yeah, that would have been in sort of like the resurgence of like when the big Apple boom and the iMacs and everything, and those robots do look like they are Apple products.
They absolutely do.
Yeah, like updated crash test dummies.
Yeah. The Richard says, I agree. Terje, not impressive mocap.
It has to be Ready Player One.
Yeah. Edge of Time says, how many times would Donald have been president in a fair race? Are you talking about Donald Duck? I hope you're talking about Donald
I think so. I hope so.
All right.
The
Richard says that was good. Yeah. In regards to the list, or
I'm sure it was in regard to one of the movies that we threw out there on the list. Hey, Cinema Gulp is here. Hi, dude. Come on the show.
Hey,
dude.
Cinema Gulp.
If you need the link, let me know. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Totally.
The Richard
District
says
9 was good.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Stepped all over you there, Scotty.
Oh no, that's good. It's good. So was District 9.
Did you guys like the guy who had the lead in District 9 when he played Murdoch in A-Team?
I loved that. Yeah.
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 I thought he was perfect in that role.
I don't remember. I don't think I've seen the A-Team all the way through. I don't think I've seen the whole movie.
Wow.
It is a really good action movie, actually.
I really enjoyed it. When
you see what you did right there? There was a phrase that you used in there that should tip you off to the fact that why I haven't seen that movie all the way through.
Action movie?
Yeah,
okay.
Just not a big action movie guy. It's got to be wrapped around in drama or some other kind of thing.
Okay, fair enough. I find it to be really funny.
Unless it's something like The Raid or The Raid 2.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's special.
Yeah.
Wait. Sorry. iRobots lacked solidity and verisimilitude. Yep. I can accept that.
I can too.
The Richard says, aloha to Cinema Gulp. Yes. So excited to see all you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for commenting and being a part of the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
The Richard says, love King Kong 05. Watch it at least once a year in its entirety. And I would assume the Richard's a guy who would watch it in the director's cut.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Cinema Gulp says, my favorite thing from Blomkamp is definitely his short feature that District 9 was based on, Alive in Joburg. Yeah, absolutely. And
that's amazing.
If you check any of Blomkamp's YouTube stuff, it just in terms of blending the security robots in South Africa, it does look amazing. But it was definitely the jumping off point. He was supposed to make a Halo movie at one point too, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Aliens.
And Alien, yes, Alien 5, I guess.
God, I was so down for that. I thought after Elysium and Chappie, we'd get an awesome sci-fi movie from him. Unfortunately,
there were so many cool concept art drawings that leaked from that production.
I know. Unfortunately, Ridley Scott put the kibosh on that.
Yeah,
yanked it away from him.
The amazing movie from Ridley Scott.
Cinema Gulp says, "K-bye." All right.
K-bye.
Shit. All right. Well, guess you won't be on today.
In.
Thanks for coming by.
Hit and run.
See you go.
The Richard says, I saw it in cinema 3D at the Dome. Loved it. Have it on 3D at home too. She was okay. Like her more as a human. Well, yes.
So is Ildana.
She also looks good in a Starfleet uniform.
Yes, she does.
She does.
The Richard says, not sure if I saw the short feature at Cinema Gulp.
Scotty, is that available on Blomkamp's YouTube?
That's where I saw it was on YouTube, and
awesome.
I haven't.
So
Yeah,
check that
We
out.
believe so.
The Richard says, smash the like and subscribe. Let's get Phantasmagorium to 500,000.
How about
yes.
just 500 subs? We're on our way. I think it was 405
By tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and thank you everybody who's subscribed and everything. We just tipped 400 subscribers. So tell your friends. We barely ever swear. We're mildly sober most of the time.
On Fridays, we swear a lot more than we do in Monday through Thursday. The free for all is a little more free.
But yeah, thank you guys. The Richard says you could almost taste the fish he was enjoying.
Gollum.
Yes. Weta did Alita and collabed with a prosthetic studio to design the real limbs for paraplegics.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'll try to remember to quote the film so it's not disjointed, not used to your format. And yeah, it sort of it does help if you want to, in regards to, I know it slows down the typing, but just so we don't lose your comments in regards to the what we were discussing, we're trying to keep up.
And to be fair, we on Fridays we just kind of wing it because we have kind of a chunk of a list. A chunk here and a chunk there. I figured it'd be better to talk about the news in the chat because instead of waiting all the way till the end, I just thought it might.
Yeah, it works better to take the chat in chunks.
Yeah, and see how that kind of works out. So it's not your fault, Rich. We're just we're winging it today.
Richard says, "Shoot for the stars and hit the moon, then go for the beyond."
Oh yeah.
I like chunks.
Okay. All right. Let's get back into it. So we have 21 video games. Yeah, go ahead.
One last thing I wanted to mention about that list. The one person I was surprised did not show up on the list, despite the prolific number of such roles he's played, is Doug Jones.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But
I'm surprised.
Has he done a lot of motion capture? Isn't he more of a insane makeup guy?
It's a bit of a combination of both at times. So I thought for sure he would be on there at least once. So that was
because I do think, in fact, no. So I seen him in the full makeup for the Star Trek Discovery, when he's got the makeup and the dots on him. But that's not a film, and it does specifically say the list was films.
Oh, right. So, he's done a lot of films too, going back quite a ways. I was just for sure he's definitely Del Toro's go-to guy. But I was surprised that he wasn't on that list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he's mostly practical makeup effect, but I'm sure he's done some mocap. He's had to have.
Yeah, right? He has to.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to find out if he's done motion capture, and we can follow up on that later at some point.
Yeah, we'll check that out.
But he is by far the best thing about Discovery.
Yes.
Well, yeah. If there is a best thing about Discovery.
He's the less worse.
Well, he's the only character who feels like they're in a Star Trek show.
I agree.
And I agree with the Richard. He says with mayo, not ketchup. Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
Shape of Water.
All of those.
Hellboy.
But I just don't know how much absolute mocap he's done. I just something I'm gonna have to look up.
Yeah.
And I heard that there's this fancy thing called Google, that I could use that's right in front of me. So I guess I could do that. And, well, I kind of got my hands full. 21 video games that deserve movie adaptations. Now, deserve is there's no movie that deserves to be made, but these are the ones that Variety thinks should be made
That's a better word.
into movies. So let's run down the list and see if we agree or disagree.
Now, do they mean deserves as in they think the movie's gonna be good, or as a punishment considering most video games or movies are really bad?
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna say the former, not the latter, but we'll see.
Well, and I'm what we deserve.
I'm not 100% sure about. I don't know if I'm going to know all 21 games, and I think that deserve the movie based on the strength of the the narrative of the game to begin with. Like, we're starting off with The Legend of Zelda, which does have a rich sort of world to play in.
Oh, way to jump ahead, Scotty.
Well, but I'm just the thing is,
I'm kidding.
it's why would you watch a video game when you could play it? The entire reason for this is so that you can escape. The transferring over to a different media, I can see how The Legend of Zelda would be a good film. I don't know if I would want it animated or live action. Also, I've been saying I'm still reassessing whether or not I am actually a fantasy, if I like fantasy or not. I've always said I haven't, but I've been exposed to a bunch of fantasy lately that's like, yeah, this isn't bad. I just don't know. I feel like when you put Legend of Zelda right at the top of the list, you are just setting yourself up to have fans who are disappointed because there's going to be the love of Zelda that people are not going to feel is represented on screen, or hashtag not my Zelda. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter what comes out. It's gonna divide the fandom. It's just, you're gonna have a segment of the fandom that just doesn't give a damn about being fair or honest. They just want to shit on stuff so they can get the clicks.
True.
Well, that Super Mario movie turned out great.
It was amazing.
So they say, with a trove of stories across style and genre, these are some of the most games most deserving of adaptations. Number one, as Scotty mentioned, was The Legend of Zelda. I wouldn't have put this first.
Right.
I would not have put this. I don't know that this would actually make a good movie. I'm sure that somebody, obviously more talented than me, could write a good story around this, but I don't know if you could make a movie that's going to appeal to the hardcore fans of Zelda, the people that you want to get the butts in seats. So it just, to me, this is a weird one to start with. What are your thoughts?
Like Ridley Scott's Legend,
Mm-hmm.
if you could take tweaks of that movie and it becomes a Legend of Zelda movie.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose. Okay. No, I see. I see that.
And
but if you did that, would it appeal to the Legend of Zelda fans that play the game?
Well, and I've played Link to or Legend of Zelda 2, which is the Link one, and that was on the original Nintendo, and I played the Ocarina of Time, and I liked that one. Now, I haven't played Breath of the Wild, and I didn't even graduate onto the Majora's Mask, but I have played them, and as long as there are the references, like, what is it? People loved Kano in the new Mortal Kombat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically the thing that was closest to the game that people responded to. So as long as you maintain the references and the familiar world of Hyrule within a Legend of Zelda game or movie, then I think you could please the fans. But I'm still like, is there one video game movie that has ever pleased at all or has succeeded? Like, I remember people really wanted the Assassin's Creed movie to do well, and it had Michael Fassbender, and that did not do well. I know a couple of people who were heartbroken by the failure of that.
I said on the show, the only one that I think has done fairly well, I don't at all think it's a home run, but is the Tomb Raider movie with Alicia Vikander.
Yes,
that was a decent, solid movie, but like I said, it wasn't a home run.
Directed by a Norwegian. Whee!
Woo! Hooray! But that's also Lara Croft herself is basically a version of Indiana Jones, and you're basically making an Indiana Jones movie with Lara Croft, and I don't know, she doesn't fight a Tyrannosaurus Rex with two handguns, does she?
No,
she should.
Then that's not. Now you've made a cover song of Indiana Jones with a lady.
Made a cover song, yeah, basically. All right,
but
so
to
number 2,
finish off Zelda, I have to say I think it would do better being animated because the world of Zelda is so colorful. and it has its own style. So I think it would be very difficult to adapt into live action.
Let me ask you this: animated film or animated TV series?
Well, if I could choose, this is a list for films, obviously.
Yeah,
but
I don't care.
yes,
I don't care about the list.
it would do
Right now.
well as a Netflix series, I think.
That's what I thought. Yeah, because once I saw this on the list, I'm like, wait a minute, that would make a great series. I don't know about a movie, but anyways, yes, it is film movie adaptation. So we'll stick to the guidelines. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Next on the list is BioShock.
That's going to be a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to spoil BioShock for anyone, but there is something in that game later on in the game when you are confronted by the antagonist villain of that game that plays with the idea of it being a video game. And that it has questions about free will. Were you doing this because you wanted to or because you were pushed by the narrative of the game? I probably just did spoil it, even though I said I wasn't going to.
You can spoil it. It's an ancient game. Come on.
it is old, but there are sensitive people. And so I don't know. It's maybe something like BioShock Infinite. I've played it. I haven't finished it, but it seems like a weak plot to be able to hang a movie on. But the game itself is tense, visually dynamic. I thought it was interesting, but I don't know if it would be able to sustain for, even if you made a tight 90-minute movie, it would have to be like, I don't know. I don't know if that would be a possibility.
No, they would fail because they would make it into some kind of clone of Aliens. It would make it into something where someone is running in corridors and shooting aliens, and that's not what the game is about.
Right. Agreed. And also, watching people solve puzzles isn't engaging. And I know there is an adaptation, so they would take certain things and leave other things behind. But when you do have a puzzle-solving game and you have to go and collect things, nobody likes watching fetch quests on screen, and no one likes playing.
Scotty, you mean you haven't run out to watch Escape Room Tournament of Champions?
Dude, I've never even been to an escape room. So no, I haven't seen the movie version.
Okay. Yeah, watching somebody solve puzzles all day long.
Yeah.
Yay, for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
No thanks. I guess it could be interesting. Saw was kind of like that, I guess. Next on the list is God of War.
Mm-hmm.
I hear people talk about this all the time. In fact, I think a lot of people think that the stitched together cutscenes from this is a great movie all on its own.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes on that one.
Yeah?
I think that's perfect to adapt for a movie because it is basically just this epic, violent action fantasy adventure. So I'm actually surprised there's not a movie made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know there's people have been talking about developing this movie, and I wouldn't be shocked if somebody's got a treatment somewhere and working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Well, and also because
go ahead.
This is sort of an interesting one just because you do have two protagonists. You do have the father and son, and so there is a bouncing off of each other, whereas the lone, and they're teamed up throughout the game. And so to have that, you've got at least, the potential for family drama, a relationship, comedy. So that would be an interesting sort of father and son adventure coming of age movie. Yeah, that could work. I agree.
That could work.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the list is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption. You're gonna make a Western and you're gonna slap Red Dead Redemption on the poster, and that's the extent of what it's going to be. I don't know.
There is a slew of great Western movies you can watch, and the thing that makes Red Dead Redemption 2 good is the fact that you are playing and living inside a Western.
Yes.
So no, totally not. No.
So that's a no.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a hard no.
Hard no.
Hard no.
It's a hard pass. Okay. Overwatch is next on the list.
What? I guess.
Yeah, this seems weird, right?
I'm gonna say pass because I really don't know anything about that game, other than it's like a deathmatch tournament thing, isn't it?
Developer Blizzard has released bite-sized bursts of Pixar-inspired content in several animated short films, but the heroes, villains, and robots of Overwatch lend themselves perfectly for a feature-length film. Superpowered, globe-trotting characters, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Would give a team like the Avengers a run for its money. So it's like a team-up thing. I don't know. This sounds to me like it might be a good animated movie.
Well, and I think that would, definitely. And I know that with the core Overwatch characters, they do have distinct personalities. It could be interesting, but honestly, I haven't played it to know who the villains are. I thought you just jumped into an arena and started shooting each other.
Okay.
Hollow Knight, I do not know at all.
So so the next on the list is Hollow Knight. I've never even heard of this game. I'm not a gamer, so obviously, but usually some of these, like every game so far I've heard of. This one I haven't. A grim underworld kingdom filled with intrepid explorers and ghastly monsters makes up the insectoid world of Hollow Knight. It's easy to imagine an animated feature film with a Tim Burton-esque tone filled with wonderfully macabre creatures. Okay. I'll buy that. If that's what it's going to...
Also an unknown game for me, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah, so if that's what you wanted to do, like a Tim Burton-esque, animated film, cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Next
up, and I would,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just agreeing with you, and I'm thinking of like The Corpse Bride, but if you wanted to set it in this world, yeah.
Next on the list is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
This is another game I've never heard of.
I've played that. It takes place in kind of like this. It's like a combination of the past and the future, where animals there's like robot animals roaming around, and you have the hero is this girl with a bow and arrow, and she hunts down the creatures and collects stuff from them to use as resources. I think there's something there. There's this cool combination of fantasy and sci-fi, and I didn't finish the game sadly, but there is a good story there. I think that there's stuff there.
It says dangerous machines roam the plains inhabited by Aloy, A-L-O-Y, a young warrior with a mysterious past. It's a different take on the aftermath of apocalypse. And this examination of the dominance of machines may be timelier now than ever. So, yeah, that sounds interesting. That I think I could see somebody taking and actually molding into a good movie. So,
and that would definitely be reliant on the faithful adaptation of the character designs and the monster designs from the game and putting them over. And I think it could have a market. Correct. It's just whenever you're making any of these video game movies, people think that if you just push everything from the game over into the film, that it's going to translate well or it's going to work. And it rarely does. And it would be also dependent on the actress playing Aloy.
Aloy, yeah.
It would be interesting. I would check it. I'd watch a trailer and tell you what I think about it.
But I'll tell you what, out of all of these so far, I would have to say, there's only a few, but I would say God of War and this one, Horizon Zero Dawn, are the most, for me, the most likely subjects for a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones I don't think lend themselves yet, and maybe the animated one with the Hollow Knight. But we'll keep going. Super Smash Brothers.
No. Sorry, a fighting game cannot be a movie.
All right. Firewatch.
And I'm sort of I'm sorry,
sorry,
to the Mortal Kombat fans in the audience. But
No, but of course, you could make a crazy story about all the characters from Nintendo meeting in some kind of adventure. You'd have to expand on the concept of the game, but I think it would just be messy.
Yeah, that sounds like
messy and confusing, just like the game. It's fun, but it's also very confusing.
Sounds confusing.
Yeah. Make it like a Space Jam.
Yeah.
Firewatch. I'm not familiar with Firewatch at all.
With a heartbreaking opening that calls to mind the first 10 minutes of Pixar's Up, Firewatch drops players into the shoes of a main character that's looking for an escape in a beautiful landscape of Shoshone National Park. No. These type of adventure games. This is the problem when people start trying to adapt video games into movies. These kind of quest adventure games, they'll never translate well to the big screen. They just won't. No. And like you said, Scotty, and if they do, it's basically going to be a cover song of Indiana Jones, right?
Right. Well, and even with this, what was the movie where James Franco cuts off his own arm? Well, after getting stuck
27 hours.
20, yeah. And so this, like, and I scrolled ahead, and I'm insulted that Fallout isn't on the list. I don't think, but you already have that movie. They wouldn't make a Fallout movie now because they already have the Book of Eli. Like I don't think you would have to. You're not going to garner a lot on Firewatch. It may have an engaging hook off the top emotionally, but after that, it's basically 27 hours. But there's more stakes in 27 hours, and that was based on a true story. So I'm hesitant and yet very loud about comparing this to that, just because I haven't played Firewatch, but as soon as I saw the map and the compass and emotional, I'm just like that. Well, now I think I've seen the movie.
Right. Say that again, Catherine.
It's 127 hours.
Yeah, 127.
Oh, 127 hours. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Hotline Miami is next. This looks strange.
Mm-hmm.
This stylistic shooter blasts just as many bullets as it does 80s tunes. A hitman dons a variety of animal masks to kill Russian mobsters for mysterious benefactors. I mean, that actually sounds kind of good.
Yeah, but like if you've seen the game, it kind of has almost the same mechanics as like Space Invaders. It's like
Oh, really?
Shoot 'em up. Well, I'm drawing a very wide comparison here, but still.
But this sounds a lot like to me like it being the knockoff of John Wick. You know,
they'd have to make a whole narrative in there, and it would have to be an 80s throwback thing. It could be a fun movie, but still, it's like.
I'll tell you what. I think I've had my fill of 80s nostalgia. I'm getting to the brim with that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Dragon Age is the next one.
Mm-hmm.
I know the series, but I haven't played any of the games. But I know they're very popular, like really large, epic adventure fantasy games.
Okay.
But we do have a lot of large, epic fantasy movies. So,
right.
And I think that the question people have to ask themselves when they are asking themselves if they want to adapt a video game. Is the story really that good, or is the story good because you're a part of it?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because there's a big difference there.
It is. Next on the list is Telltale Games, The Walking Dead.
Now, this is where this list has just taken a left turn, and I don't understand what they're talking about. Because we're talking about adapting a game, and now we have the game adaptation of the television show, which is an adaptation of the comic book. And now we're just going to go. There's going to be a Walking Dead movie eventually anyway, though, right?
There's actually TV movies with Rick Grimes in them being made right now.
Okay, so I guess that's what we don't have to talk about on the list because it's already being made, even though it's not based on the story by Telltale Games. It's based on the movie, the show.
Man, I don't think this actually based on the Walking Dead show, or is it on the graphic novel, or does it have nothing to do with video?
It's a standalone, really.
It's a standalone. That's what I thought.
And I do have to say that I've played it, and it's a very, very heartfelt, emotional, very good story. It is a million times better than the last 5 seasons of The Walking Dead.
So now it says the heart-wrenching story of two lost souls who find each other in the middle of harsh environment can be seen in everything from The Mandalorian to The Logan, mixing the Walking Dead characters of Lee and Clementine, and substitute the galaxy far, far away for a zombie apocalypse, and you've got yourself the makings of a film adaptation of Telltale Games, The Walking Dead.
But that's just stupid because the Telltale Games aren't really games, per se.
Right.
They are interactive movies. So
Yeah, okay.
It's already a movie. It's already a TV series. You can make small choices. You can choose, like, do you want to save person A or person B? Do you want to say line A, B, C, or D?
But I'll tell you what. I feel like I've already seen this movie though, so you'd have to do something extremely out of the box to get me to go buy a ticket. Right?
No, just play the fucking game.
Or play the game.
Or just play the game. And if it were to be adapted, it would be like, I don't want to poo all over a zombie apocalypse story, especially if there is a connection between two characters as they sort of try and survive. But I agree with you, Terje, in terms of just either play this, or if you do adapt it, it's not going to be called Telltale Games The Walking Dead. It's just going to be called The Walking Dead, the motion picture or whatever.
And I don't know why you're feeling such consternation about pooing all over a zombie apocalypse movie. Zack Snyder is doing that as we speak.
Yep.
Sorry to say.
Yeah, no, you don't have to apologize. It's Zack Snyder's fault.
Next on the list is Life is Strange. No idea what this is all about. Anybody play this game?
I played part of it, but then I thought it became tedious, and I didn't want to play it anymore.
So
it's kind of not in the same category as Telltale Games, but it's still one of those slightly interactive stories. It's more like you can move the character around and you can examine things, but still it's very plot driven. And yes, there's a cool story, and it might be a good movie.
An episodic game from Square Enix, I think it is.
Yeah.
Life
is Strange.
Okay, because they say it's a Life OS Strange. I
think that's a typo.
Okay, yeah. My fault. Okay, their fault. Introduces us to a girl named Max, and she's mysteriously gains the ability to rewind time after witnessing the murder of her childhood friend. The moral question of whether erasing your own mistakes is worth the pain placed on others makes for something that would surely grip film audiences. Okay, so that already sounds really cool and interesting to me. So I'll add this to my list. I would like to see this kind of movie adapted, or that game adapted into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Actually, when I think about it, I think maybe this would actually make a better movie than a game.
Yeah.
Well, and it gives me sort of echoes of Donnie Darko. I've seen a little bit of some people go through some playthroughs or play-alongs, and yeah, I could see it as a movie, but I think that once, and again, the curse of the video game movie, if they did make this movie and it was a live action and it went through everything like that, I think that people would say that it is derivative in regards to Donnie Darko. But I guess maybe. Also enough time has passed that maybe Donnie Darko has somewhat faded and is much more of a cult than the tent pole that I imagine it to be.
Yeah, I would say in the right hands, this could be executed very well. Sounds like a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Mirror's Edge is next on the list.
And I haven't played. Well, it's a parkour video game.
Yeah,
which would be interesting for a couple of sequences, but I don't know if you can hang an entire movie on it. It says here, Mirror's Edge follows Faith Connors, a runner leaping across rooftops under the radar of an oppressive government. A sharp take on surveillance themes combined with dynamic and death-defying parkour-inspired action make this a story that is sure to bring something unique to screen. Yeah.
but we already have a parkour movie.
Which one?
It's French. It's called. Okay, just talk. I'm gonna do a Google
Okay,
search.
for sure.
We'll come back to that. I don't know about that, and I don't know. I don't know why. When you were reading that, I was thinking, well, it sounds like a Ghost in a Shell for some reason to me. But
Well, and also that the image that we're looking at from the article does sort of remind me of Ghost in the Shell. I'd have to know more about the world in which it takes place, but I don't know. It's kind of like saying that Smash Brothers would be a good game. It's like, oh, we have a parkour game or a good movie. We have a parkour game. We can change that into a movie. It's like, no, parkour is something that you put into a movie as an action piece, not something that you build an entire movie around, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you want to watch a parkour movie, you go and you watch the French movie District 13.
District 13. Okay.
Okay.
I will write it down.
So we'll scratch that movie.
yeah, scratch. The next one on the list is Dishonored. I don't know anything about Dishonored, but the image that they chose looks bitchin'.
The steampunk.
The mask.
Yes. The steampunk-inspired action game follows a queen's bodyguard who is framed for her murder and must go on the run to prove his innocence. Along the way, he makes a deal with the devil to gain mystical powers in order to unravel the murky circumstances of the queen's death and dispatch enemies in creatively violent ways.
I'm down. This is
a big yes for me. I've played the game. There's also a sequel. But the thing that's really strong in these games are these like dark, really good steampunk designs, and it has a good story. So yes, this is totally a game that could be adapted into a really cool movie.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Just if you'll give me a second, I just want to show you guys what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So you can see that really cool look to that. I dig it. Anyways,
the thing that's really
great.
The thing that's cool about the game is that when you kind of progress in the game and you get all these skills, if you get good at the game, you are unstoppable because you combine the use of weapons with like mystical powers, and you can just pop in and pop out and take out guards. It's really cool. It's like action and strategy in this cool mix.
That's way cool.
Awesome.
Next on the list is Until Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody familiar with this one?
Yeah.
It's featuring motion capture.
Open world zombie game.
Oh yeah. Featuring motion capture of Hollywood stars Rami Malek, Hayden Panettiere, and more. Supermassive games, horror Until Dawn sees a group of friends terrorized during a winter getaway at an isolated cabin. The outcome is heavily dependent on the smallest of player choices, making it a prime candidate for an edge-of-your-seat adaptation. What do you think, Sergey?
Oh yeah, sorry, I confused it with another game.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to say no about this because this is also a game that is basically a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slasher.
Oh,
it's a horror slasher game with motion capture and real actors. And the thing is that things happen and you have to bash certain buttons on your controller. If you're successful, something good will happen. If you're not, something bad will happen. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those games where you can play it like 10 times and you might have different things happen. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's already a movie. It's an interactive movie. The thing that sets that apart from like any slasher is the fact that you're kind of you're kind of influencing what happens. So why make it into a movie where you can't influence it? Because there's a slew of other movies you can watch that are pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just dumb.
It's just dumb. All right. Let's go on to the next one. It's called Transistor.
Transistor is a masterpiece from Supergiant Games, the indie developer who received acclaim this year for the underworld dungeon crawler Hades. Following a singer who must save a besieged utopia after surviving an assassination attempt, Transistor has it all. Secret societies, high-tech cities, and a boyfriend-turned-sentient sword. Okay. I'm not familiar with the game. I haven't played it, and so...
You lost me at the boyfriend-turned-sentient sword?
Yeah.
But we could probably work around that.
But if that's the thing, is that if you make that and then you don't have the boyfriend turned sentient sword, people are going to say this is not a Transistor movie.
And I ruined their childhood. Yeah, okay.
Exactly. This is not why I came to the theater. I wanted to see the boyfriend turned sentient sword.
Yeah.
Where's He-Man?
Where's He-Man?
Next on the list is Infamous.
Oh my God. All right. So an everyday bike messenger gets electric superpowers after being caught in an explosion that turns the city upside down. In the games, players can decide whether they want to follow the path of a hero or turn into a villain, setting up an anti-hero origin story a la Deadpool and Venom, which makes for, it sounds like a very interesting video game. But as soon as you walk into the theater to go and see Infamous, you are going to find out one way or another whether you're watching a pro story or a bad guy story. Like, is he going to be good or evil? And if it doesn't go the way that you wanted to play that game or how you played that game, are you going to get all uppity?
Yeah, but again, we already have this movie. We have Venom.
Yeah. Well, and it just,
Strike that one.
I played this. It's basically Venom, just more crazy, more powers, more destruction, but still, it's still some guy having a symbiote crazy thing in his body, and he can do shit. So just watch Venom and Carnage when that comes.
If you guys will excuse me for a minute, I know Turjay will have. You like Metroid, Turjay?
I do.
So
okay, you tell him why. You tell him why we need a Metroid movie. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Metroid is next on the list. Another Nintendo franchise begging to be made into a movie. The sci-fi Metroid series follows a female bounty hunter named
Samus.
Samus Aran. Fights space pirates. Saves the from all. Okay. Well, that sounds. I don't know. I've heard other people talk about wanting to make Metroid into a movie. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think this could work. If I could wish for something, this is also an instance where I think a TV series would be better. But okay, yeah. That mentioned, yes, it could work as a movie. It's a. There isn't really. I've played a few of the Metroid games, and there isn't like a lot of lore around the world it inhabits. She has this arch nemesis called. What is it? The Mother Queen or something. I'm drawing a blank, but I something like that. Mother Brain. But the cool thing about Metroid is that it came out on the original NES in the 80s. And there was this really cool surprise at the end of the game because you went through it. It was a person in a spacesuit. And when you defeated the baddie at the end, she removed her helmet and you saw that it was a woman. And this came at a time where there weren't really a lot of female heroes in video games. So that was really cool. But also that surprise would be destroyed because we have female heroes today. Right. So they can't keep her in a spacesuit and reveal at the end, oh, it was a woman. And we'd be like, ooh.
Well,
But still, there's cool designs. There's a cool suit. There's spaceships. There's horrible aliens. She has a plasma cannon on her arm. There's totally stuff here to make a cool action movie with like a high special effects budget.
Something like a Starship Troopers type of movie.
Yeah, only she works alone. I don't think in any of the games I've actually seen her have a companion. So
I meant more. I think more of the style of the film instead of the plot points. But yeah.
Yeah, she goes into a lot of places, a lot of corridors. So I guess Starship Troopers, Aliens,
like
only kind of maybe more claustrophobic, more horror-ish. And you have to find like the main story that's gonna make it through. But I'd like to see a Metroid movie. I'm just not sure what it would be about.
Next on the list is Shovel Knight.
Never heard of it.
Imagine an Arthurian tale complete with medieval knights, an evil witch, and a brave hero. Now, swap out the mighty Excalibur with a rudimentary garden tool, and you've got Shovel Knight. The titular hero faces off against equally comical yet formidable villains like Spectre Knight, Mole Knight, and Polar Knight to save his best friend, Shield Knight.
Come on,
maybe
man.
you could get a cartoon out of this. Maybe.
Why did we really put this on the list? Come on, bro.
Yes.
Come on, man.
Oh my God.
I'm moving on. I'm moving on. That's okay. On. You're really gonna make no.
That's dumb.
Yeah, dumb. Celeste.
And the Academy Award goes to Shovel Knight.
Last one on the list is Celeste, right?
Celeste, yes. A two-dimensional platformer about climbing a mountain and confronting literal manifestations of depression. If that doesn't sound like Oscar bait, the game's ominous hotels, dank caverns, and sensitively drawn characters make for the perfect cinematic material.
See, now I know the author of this over at Variety was just a bullshitter. Some of these are just he put in to be funny, right? Because this is ridiculous.
I don't even know. And I haven't played Celeste, so I'm not 100% sure. It does sound like it may have an emotional resonance that could connect with an audience, but calling the video game adaptation to film of Celeste as being Oscar bait, my chain is currently being yanked.
Right.
If I want to watch a movie about a mountain, I'd prefer watching a live where they eat people's butts.
Yeah, for sure. Or even
Cliffhanger. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, and deals with depression and the death of a loved one, and no ominous hotels and caverns, but you do climb a mountain in that one.
Good John Lithgow, bad guy.
I will say that the inherent problem with video game movies is that everybody has a unique experience when they're playing the game, and so you could make something that's just going to seem generic. It's not going to match everybody else's experience, so it's like automatically setting up for disappointment.
Yeah,
agreed. Well, and I even going back to Independence Day. When I saw Independence Day in the theater, it was one of the first movies that I went and saw multiple times, and I loved it the first time, and the second time I kind of felt when they were fighting the aliens, like through with the jets and everything, I was like, this kind of feels like a video game, and I don't know if I want to watch this movie anymore. I just want to play this movie. Like I wanted to jump in the cockpits and fight and dogfight with the alien ships. And when you and that's just the movie. So now if you take something that's an existing property of a game and you remove one of the core elements from it, I think that it does sort of set up disappointment unless it really has to be engaging. And it is that unique experience that each player has. Like you're right, Kat. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they try and make it as generic as possible so that everyone will recognize how they felt when they did it. Like I can't, what is a good video game movie? And even then, what is it not so good or so bad it's good, like the Rock Doom.
I really did enjoy the first Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, okay. and that makes sense because and I agree with you. I liked that one too, but again, that's not something that was like the greatest movie ever. But
no, but it had a cool soundtrack by what's his face, pale guy.
Oh, Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, thanks.
Manson. Yeah.
No problem.
What's his pale guy? Yeah,
Pale guy.
Yeah.
Pale man.
Yeah, and cool effects, and but they weren't faithful to the video games in any way. They threw like bits and pieces in there, but then they went ahead and made like 7 more movies that just got worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we picked about 3, maybe 4 out of the list of 21 that I think we all kind of agreed would be interesting to be adapted into movies and could actually be good. Nevertheless, we're going to get these. It's inevitable. People are going to make these movies, and they're going to keep trying to make them until one works. I think
one works. Yeah.
You know. Let's go back to the comments and wrap it up for today.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Bickery, tip for Bickery.
Okay.
All right. The Richard says, I just watched a video that broke down all the great things about the Super Mario film. Interesting to say the least. And I have seen a couple of defenders of the Super Mario movie. Sure. I like that. Bob Hoskins was drunk the entire time. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were wasted making that film, and I find it very endearing.
That's hilarious.
They had to get through that thing.
Yep. Edge of Time says Sonic. I never saw Sonic the Hedgehog. Did you guys see Sonic?
No.
And so maybe that is the diamond in the rough that we have not yet seen.
Maybe.
Most
I didn't hear great
not.
things about it though.
Cam, good to see you, sir. Cam at the Fantasmagorium show. Hi, Steve, Scotty, and guests. Look, good list earlier. Been listening. You mentioned reviews the other day, and I'm really interested. Look for me to reach out. Same icon. Absolutely. Thank you, Cam.
Cam. I put up a 5-hour, like relaxed music on the channel last night, and he came by and we chatted a bit. It was
nice.
Cool.
Kind of chill out, kind of lo-fi music to, work to or study to or code to.
Excellent.
It was nice.
Cam says hello to the Richard. And to Edge of Time as well. Hi. The Richard says, dude, Zelda just like Street Fighter 1994. Winning combination. I don't know if you're saying it with irony or with conviction, but I have no problem with Street Fighter 1994. That is probably, is it good? No. Is it so bad it's good? Yes. And Raul Julia.
Well, yes. That's the same thing with Mortal Kombat. You know what I mean? It's a good no. True. Is it so bad it's good? Yeah.
88 Films recently did a good Blu-ray release of Street Fighter 94.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Edge of Time says ahoy to Cam. The Richard says aloha to Cam. Always nice to see you. And it is Cam. It's nice to see you too, Richard. The Richard says they could do a BioShock as a CG plus 2D animated film like the Resident Evils. Possibly. There is something about the mechanic of BioShock that does inform the rest of the game and your experience playing it. And I don't know how they would apply that to film.
It's the story. I don't think the style really matters. I think that the story doesn't. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work, but someone's may try. I'd watch it.
I'm sure they'll try.
I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
The Richard says at the Fantasmagorium show, can people send in letters to you?
Yes, you can.
Absolutely.
You can contact the show. In fact, you can contact the show at www.phantasmagoriumshow.com/contact us.
Mm-hmm.
Just go to our website, hit the contact button, fill out the form, and let us know that you want to send letters, and we'll give you a way to do that.
Mm-hmm. We'd love to hear from you.
Can you send owls?
Owls?
Harry Potter.
Oh, I don't know. No, I can't. Okay, we can't get anything.
Yeah, it's okay. My joke fell through. It's okay.
That's fine.
I'll cry in the corner afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Edge of Time says, I liked when they solved puzzles in Lord of the Rings, like hidden writing and door password. Yeah, and maybe I'm being a little stubborn about no one wants to sit around and watch people solve puzzles on screen, but you're right. Hey,
it's small puzzles, not big puzzles. Does anyone remember what the password for the door was?
No. You?
Melon.
Oh,
It was, I believe it was Elvish for friend.
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Cam says that Richard, that feeling is mutual. Hope you're having a great day, my friend. I'm so happy when you guys are happy with each other.
It's awesome.
Thank you for being a part of the community. Edge of Time says Weird Western is underrated. Weird Western. I have to check that back.
Weird Western is underrated. I'm not sure what
I'll
that
check
is.
it
I don't know what that is.
The Richard says, I'm creating a database of your links. Thank you, the Richard. You're on top of it as always. Thank you.
Cool. There's also a Google Doc with all the links that you have access to, the Richard. So if you want to check that out.
Edge of Time says Dark Dungeons has potential. See, now I'm just compiling a list of all the games that I should play.
All right.
Portal.
Edge of Time says Portal?
Yeah. Portal was, I forget the name of the director. He directed Cloverfield Lane.
I think he's talking about the video game Portal.
Yeah, Dan Trachtenberg. He directed, but he directed a short film on YouTube, and it is a Portal sort of short film that was interesting. Yeah. I don't know if you'd be, yeah, I guess you could make a Portal movie. But again, that's the puzzle thing. That's like being a part of it and you being the protagonist and solving those problems. That's the adrenaline rush or the dopamine that you get from actually doing it and watching someone else do it. It would have to be engaging. And I did like the Dan Trachtenberg short, but I think it's only about 12, 15 minutes. So I don't know if you could maintain it for 90 minutes to 2 hours. I don't know.
I did like
such a high
Cloverfield
concept.
Lane,
I think it would be hard to do it for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. The Richard says, my favorite game of all time is Incubation. I pretty much decided games are too addictive and I can only play one weekend a year. Yeah. I am. Yeah. I do become less than productive once I get introduced to a new game. The Richard, Disc Space Jam. Yeah. Yeah. The Richard says, I've seen a TED Talk on Portal at Edge of Time. I was also curious if that could be translated. Okay. And again, I would, if you haven't seen the Dan Trachtenberg Portal short, I would recommend that. Available on the tubes that are you. And thank you for reminding me of the 127 hours. Now, that was interesting that wasn't on the list. Edge of Time, you're absolutely right. Grand Theft Auto. Is that what Free Guy is going to be? Is Free Guy basically the Grand Theft Auto from the perspective of the NPC, which I think is an interesting premise. Would you be able to follow along someone like Trevor from Grand Theft Auto 5 and just watch him do crimes for 2 hours? Well, and also, what about Hardcore Henry? Hardcore Henry is probably the best video game adaptation that is not based on a video game, being a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
The Richard says sounds like GTA Vice City and The Purge. Oh, that's the 80s flashback. Yeah. And you know what? I would have taken a GTA Vice City game starring Ray Liotta. That's how I would have rolled.
Hotline Miami.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I am down with that Dishonored. I think that one might be my favorite on the list. Next is, what's up next?
Edge of Time says the game has a different set of characters, and I think this is in regards to the Telltale Games presents The Walking Dead. Yeah, and I'm the reason that it's a splinter in my brain is because there's a comic book called The Walking. You can create these if you want to take those characters and the situation that they presented in the game and adapt it. Possibly, Terje, do you think that it would be a compelling story on its own to follow those two characters through?
It's too short for a movie. No, well, is it? I'm not sure. This is one of those things which I mentioned. It's a really engaging, emotional, good story. But would it feel that way if I watched it and I didn't feel like I was a part of the decisions being made? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I really can't answer that because
it's fine.
Yeah, it was a good interactive story, but I don't know if it would be that strong if you didn't have like choices.
Man, it just goes to show you how hard it is to adapt video games to the big screen. It just, a lot of them just don't lend themselves to adaptations. And then when they do, they just fall short. They seem to fall short because, like Scotty was saying, expectations are so rigid.
Yeah, and then it's the whole interactive aspect of making choices is what's really fun about video games, that you are an active participant in what's going on, which is why I don't tend to like the video games which have the super long cutscenes, and you see these videos on YouTube where they cut together like, oh, all the game's cutscenes edited together. It's like 6 hours. I'm like, if I'm playing a game where I'm going to sit through 6 hours of cutscenes, forget it. It's like, I like playing the game and making decisions rather than being like, to hold my hand and take me through every little bit of the story.
Well, and I'm kind of like, one of my favorite video game experiences was playing Spider-Man 2 for the Xbox. And it was the first time that I really felt like Spider-Man swinging through Manhattan, and capturing that feeling of not only the movie, but the books in video game form. I miss video game adaptations of movies. People keep wanting to bring the video games into movies. I want you to make video games out of the movies. So,
yeah, one of the long cutscene. What was the Injustice: Gods Among Us video game?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huge, long,
very heavy on the cutscenes.
Killer cutscenes.
Cam says to the Fantasmagorium show, cool, I subbed through the link. I'll finish my message after the show. Thanks. Thank you,
cool.
Cam.
Thanks, man. Looking forward to it.
Edge of Time says time travel is usually bad writing.
No, I have to disagree.
Sure.
Time travel can be a crutch that indicates some lazy writing, but not all time travel is just bad writing automatically.
Yeah, and that, I think it was interesting in Avengers Endgame, and I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to like the time travel aspects of it. And I ended up being very entertained by it. And I do remember the Red Letter Media guys were doing their prediction video for what was going to happen in The Rise of Skywalker. And they're like, are they going to do time travel? Star Wars hasn't done time travel yet. And I know that there was sort of some touching on it in Rebels, wasn't there, Kat? By the end of that.
Yeah, it's like this portal verse which exists outside the space-time continuum called the World Between Worlds, where you can reach into different portals at various points of time and either jump in and join in there, or you could pull people out into the portal. And they've been deliberately very vague about everything behind that. They're being careful with it.
Right.
So it does. It depends on.
Yeah, it depends on how you use time travel. I agree that the problem is probably the lion's share of time travel movies and stuff use it as a crutch. Like Avengers Endgame, that's a crutch. It's like, how do we get out of this? Well, and we'll just invent time travel on Tony's computer, and then problem solved. It's like, okay, it's like it can still be entertaining, but it's like more often than like a Back to the Future, for example. I think that's a great time travel movie because time travel creates more problems than it solves. And if you ask somebody what the plot of that movie is, for the most part, it's about a kid having to get his parents back together. Like, I hadn't seen that movie in such a long time until I got the 4K last year, and I was surprised by how much of a background supporting character Doc Brown actually is. Because you always think about Back to the Future, you think, oh, Doc and Marty and all that. But I'm watching this, I'm like, this is really a lot more about Marty and learning more about his parents and that kind of stuff. It's like time travel is used very appropriately. Granted, time travel does solve the big problem of getting him back home at the end, but that's not, they use it in a way that's clever as an excuse to, tell an interesting story that you wouldn't otherwise be able to tell. Like, it felt like the genesis of how giving a kid to meet his parents as teenagers was the genesis of the idea. And then the time travel thing grew out of that as like a plot device to get him there. But more often than not, if you introduce time travel into a pre-existing IP solely to solve problems which were previously unsolvable, then that's where you run into problems, I think.
Yeah, me too. I agree. So Edge of Time said District 4. But I think
Richard said, "Yep."
Yeah, go ahead.
The Richard said District 13 is the parkour film, I think, Turjay. And yeah, we found it, and thank you. Always correct us in the comments.
Yeah, thank the Richard for being on top of that. Oh no,
Yeah, absolutely. Cam says, I have a lot of trepidation anytime Snyder's name is mentioned. District 13 is an interesting movie worth checking out, and I have it written down. I will.
Do it.
Do it now.
Edge of Time says, yep. With music by Mark Bolan. I'm in reference to. I'm
not sure what that's in reference to. With music,
I think it's District 13. I think.
Oh,
with maybe. District 13, excellent. And then the Richard lost interest in zombies in 2013. I still like zombie movies. I haven't watched The Walking Dead since Herschel died.
I think I like interesting takes on the zombie movie now, like Train to Busan. I thought was amazing. Girl with All the Gifts Girl with All the Gifts is one of my favorite zombie movies of all time. Love that movie. It's such a different take on the zombie genre. So I think there are still good zombie movies to be had. They just it can't be the standard fare. I think everybody's kind of burnt out on the standard fare.
Mm-hmm. The Richard
just excuse me for 10 seconds. I'm just going to move to where I have a charging cable.
9.
Certainly.
8. 7.
The Richard says, speaking of bashing buttons, smash the like and subscribe. Yes, please. And the Richard says, no yanking. I wasn't yanking. The author of that article was yanking my chain. But yes,
he was. A couple of those were put in there for shits and giggles, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I find that to be the case the majority of the time with lists like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We got to get 21 of these. Why?
Right.
I don't know. The Richard says, if they could isolate a single portion of a game similar to a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, not the whole campaign, would it work?
Yes, I think it would.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that might be what we're going to get with the Dungeons and Dragons coming up. But it's interesting. I think that's how it's going to work, is to, like you said, isolate an adventure or a quest and make that the movie. I think that's also a way to build a franchise out of it, right? So instead of trying to tell the entire arc of the story of the game, you tell it in chunks, like in episodes, right?
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yes. And maybe that's what some of the problems is with the existing adaptations, is that instead of taking the successful portion of the game and expanding on that, they try and everything in the kitchen sink because the fans won't like it if this isn't in it. And so,
yeah,
this is the proper adaptation of Dungeons and Dragons.
Is that the animated from the 80s? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Killer. My fault.
Here we go. The Richard, and thank you being on top of it again with the Marilyn Manson, the pale guy.
Yep.
The Richard says, I have all of the Resident Evil films in 3D. Like them, just my taste. I like seeing all the various creatures and characters from nearly every game. House of the Dead had 13 different types of zombies. Yeah, and there were. I think Turjay was right, and I think if that is your franchise of choice, not necessarily the only one that you can choose, if you enjoy it, that's fantastic. I thought the first film was it was all right. It was okay. Yeah. But I
was on board till the third movie, and when the fourth came, I just got confused.
Fair enough. Darius Munchausen, how are you? Ahoy to the Fantasmagorium show. Steve Foley, Scotty R37, Terry A, and Catherine. Thank you, Darius. Thank you so much. Aloha to the Richard. And the Richard hails Darius Munchausen with an aloha. Cam, Steve, the lo-fi was good stuff. Listened to it for a while and enjoyed our chat. Thanks. Look forward to hearing more.
Yeah, I'll probably do this from time to time. You just got to be very careful about the licensing. You got to buy the music. You got to buy the licensing for the music, and you got to be careful about how many times that they're played and whatnot. But I would like to do. I'll probably do another one, 5 or 8 hours, and fill it with, because basically right now it's like a half an hour repeated, 5 times. But I'd like to fill it and do more of a radio style. Lo-fi and
awesome
stuff like that. We'll work on it, and I'm glad you like it, and I'll keep doing those from time to time. Hopefully, they'll get
I'll
better.
Have to come and hang out too.
Yeah.
Darius Munchausen says, "Ahoy to Cam Cam! Ahoy Cam Cam! Ahoy Darius!" Edge of Time. Weird Western is a genre like Cthulhu or cryptids plus the Old West. Okay, plus the Old West. And Did you guys like Cowboys and Aliens?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't. I didn't have any problem with that movie. I didn't think it was
fun.
I didn't think it was great. It was. I thought it was okay. It was fun. I wouldn't. It's not I wouldn't nominate it for the Oscars or anything like that. But
I thought it was a bit bland. I thought they had a great cast, but it's like, okay, we're kind of walking through the desert to get there, and then it kind of gets more involved with the aliens at the end. The characters kind of most of the characters take a backseat. It's like, this is okay.
Yeah. But that sort of genre mashup would be interesting.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've never rewatched the movie since. So if that tells you,
I've seen it once. I don't remember much, so
if that tells you
didn't
anything,
make that much of a impression.
Yeah.
Not Brian Young at Darius Munchausen. Oh look, Melanie Epp. I'm just here for Scott. Hi, Scott. Well, Mel, come on. Be here for everybody, but I appreciate you being here for me. Thanks, Mel.
My heart's broken right in two.
Darius Munchausen says, "Ahoy, not Brian Young." And Melanie, wait, that was mean. She caught herself. Hi, Catherine, Turier, and Steve. Great show as always. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mel.
Thanks for coming by.
Good to hear from Belgium. I think she was from Belgium.
Yes, she is. Yep. Darius Munchausen, I was a mocap technician in college. First on a magnetic system, then an optical system, Vicon. Wow, awesome, dude.
Well, we should have had you on the show for this episode.
I wonder if there's any people that were left off of the list that you would nominate. Cam says, "Hail to Darius Munchausen." Not Brian Young. Hello, not from Cam. And hail Cam from Not Brian Young. The Richard says, "Aloha, Not Brian Young."
Here we go.
And Not Brian Young at the Richard, thumbs up and a wave.
That's kind of like it's almost a sketch where you have like a lot of businessmen in a room and they say hello to each other.
I always love that in Spies Like Us when they enter the tent and it's doctor.
Yes. I do believe that's actually what I was thinking about.
It's awesome. It's a great movie too. Cam says to Darius Munchausen, "That sounds pretty cool, Darius. You still doing that kind of work in terms of the mocap?"
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Not Brian Young. Yeah, the Revenge of the Sith game, still great. That was, and yeah, I'm trying to remember if that. Yeah.
But that was also the other way around though. They made the movie and then the video game came around at the same time, but they knew they were making the movie and it was based off the movie.
Yeah.
Darius Munchausen says, I wish Cam. I would love to do it professionally. The Vicon system is still used professionally by major studios like Sony. Cool. That is awesome. The Richard says, I worked a few months on a time travel RPG back in 1994. I couldn't find my rhythm. I literally just shared my character sheets and some art on Facebook last week. And you can check those out on Richard's Facebook page.
Yeah.
Not Brian Young. Ray, back in time, becomes Shmee. Sign me up. The closed loop will please Cockney too. Probably would. Well, it'll give them something to talk about. But what if Ray was Shmee? No? Okay, fine.
No.
Schmeagle?
The Richard, for the record, Turget knew District 13. I had to meditate a few seconds. Oh, it's yes. Turget did know District 13. We all got there.
Yeah. Well, my brain has a limited amount of storage, and sometimes stuff falls out.
Nice.
And even though I know what it is, I have this friend called Google, and he helps me.
Excellent. I usually just ask Jeeves. Edge of Time says Till Dawn is a Bolin song. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for that.
Do you ask Jeeves through your Netscape browser?
Yes, I do. I do have my American Online membership active right now. Yes.
Hey, add me on MSN.
I will. We should. ICQ later. The Richard says there are still good zombie films, just not the typical fare. And the one that popped to my head, remember the Schwarzenegger one with Abigail Breslin called Maggie? That was sort of off the beaten trail and not necessarily the same as all the rest of them. The Richard says, we agree. We like chunks. Done. Agreed. We do like chunks. Cam says, when dealing with time travel, you have to maintain the internal logic of it and its verisimilitude in order for it not to become a crutch. Absolutely.
Yes. You have to set up rules and then stick to those rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's just all you. I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's funny how many people actually break those rules in their films.
Or sometimes lampshade their lack of creativity by saying we're not going to sit here and talk about time travel by arranging straws. And it's like, no, this is why I'm here. You should talk about it, Bruce Willis.
I just want to recommend a really different zombie movie. Maybe some of you have seen it, maybe some in the chat. It's called Fido, and it stars Billy Connolly.
I've seen Fido. It was good.
Yeah. I adore that movie. It's just so different and refreshing and funny.
Well, and also with that 1950s pastiche, and it was it was really it was cute and still entertaining. It didn't become saccharine, but I really I remember liking that one.
So go out and find Fido, people.
Yeah, absolutely. Cam says to not Brian Young, Cap does like a closed loop. Yes, everything tidy. The Richard says, I design tabletop games as a hobby based on films, and some films are based on video games. The circle never ends. It is the circle of life and entertainment. Cam says, Cowboys versus Aliens did have a great cast and premise. It failed in execution at the end. Was a fun one-time watch. I was just curious. I was just curious in regards to the genre mashup, but yeah. Brian Young says Spies Like Us. One of my favorites is Dick for Replicant. Wrong channel, buddy. Wrong channel. What's a Dick for pooping? Stupid. The Richard says Undead from Australia is a brain screw fun trip. Fido was good. I'm trying to remember if I've seen Undead.
I think I've seen
Undead. Is a mashup of zombies and aliens, and it takes place with this Australian farmer as the hero. Yeah. It's low budget, gory, very fun.
I'll take a look. And here is the Fido trailer in the chat. Cool. Thank you, the Richard. The Undead trailer also. Thank you, the Richard, keeping us updated. This is great. Man.
And I think that's the last one for the day.
Already, Rue.
Oh no! There he goes. Here are the here are the trailers.
Here are the trailers. Well, thank you
for doing that. Thanks for being in the chat and helping us with the links today. The Richard always holding it down. We thank you very much for helping us out. I want to thank both of our guests for coming on and being on the on the free for all today. We'll start with Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, so much. If you want to, please let everybody know where they can follow you online.
You can find me at Slice Night on Twitter, Catherine Cook on Facebook, Slice Night on Instagram, though I haven't posted anything there yet, and active on the Fantasmagorium group Facebook page.
Yeah, yay! And the blog.
And the blog.
So,
and the blog.
Definitely. Awesome. It's great having you today, and we look forward to having you back next week.
Thanks. Oh, and if I may, a film recommendation. Yes. Last night I saw The Green Knight, and that was excellent. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought I was watching a Robert Eggers movie who did The Witch in the Lighthouse, because the editing, the cinematography, the music, the directing, the pacing, it was so much in line with those other two movies. Excellent. Made by David Lowery, who did Pete's Dragon, The Old Man and the Gun. So it was a very different movie for him, but I highly recommend it. Definitely going to be up there for award season, I hope, if the Academy remembers it come fall.
Awesome. I will check it out. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Definitely the one, we showcased it here on the show. It's definitely the one I want to see this weekend. Awesome. Thanks,
right.
Kat.
Thanks, Kat.
Turnier! What's up, buddy?
It's me.
Thanks for coming on the show today and helping us out with all of that. Where can people find you online?
Good discussions today.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man. Thank you for contributing, sir.
Of course.
Where can people find you online, buddy?
Yeah.
Here.
Here. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Find it's here.
Everything Well,
and
my online presence, you can see me in the Fantasmagorium group, and you can see me here sometimes. I'll be in the chat. I'll be co-hosting sometimes, having fun.
I think hopefully we'll start getting you active in the news and the blog on night too.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun, doing some reviews and stuff.
Probably pop up there as well.
Cool. All right, man.
Amazing,
thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Good to see you, buddy.
Sure. And have a great weekend, everybody.
Awesome. All right. We did have a couple more. Let's see.
Sure.
Where were we? Oh, here are the trailers. Oh, yeah. Okay. Cam Fido, done and done. I'll check it out. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are good. Thanks, everyone. Richard says.
Thank you. Yay for Terje and Catherine.
My sentiments exactly. Cheers, all in the chat. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cam says, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Yeah.
Hey, Edge of Time says a Phantasma good time. Thank you. It is a Phantasma good time. Not Brian Young says looking forward to the Green Knight trailer. Looks great, and Kat seems to like it.
If you saw the special feature that we played here a couple weeks ago, that thing was amazing to watch. It was really cool. You can find it on the channel. It's really cool.
And here it is. Here's the trailer right here. Richard's still on top of the trailers for the Green Knight. Great show. Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much, sir.
And Darius rounds it out with a bunch of clapping hands. Yeah. So if you want to send us a note or a letter, just go to the website, go to the contact form, send us a letter. If you want to help us out in writing blogs, doing movie reviews, that kind of stuff on the website, we'd love to have you. At least we'll have that conversation. If you want to help us out by in the chat and stuff like that, send us a note. Let us know you're interested, and we'll get that process going. Like you said, we're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to get it out to as many people as possible. In order to do that, we have to build this really cool community, and to build that cool community, it's going to take a lot of help from people like our friends in the chat today, and new people as they come on. So
super jazzed to hang out with you guys. Thank you for getting us to 400 subscribers. Let's do another 4. Like by tomorrow.
Right, overnight.
The Richard says, pick up a t-shirt or a hoodie at the store at the phantasmagoriumshow.com/shop. Yeah, you can do that. I got to get one of them. Damn it.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to send in a letter, you can go to phantasmagoriumshow.com/contact us.
Yes.
And it would help us out. It would be great to hear from you guys. Okay,
buddy. I think that'll do it for us today. Great show. Well, love doing these shows with you.
Yeah, man.
This was fun. Kind of running down these lists are kind of fun. We'll try to do more of these on Fridays. Excuse me.
Sounds good.
And we're in our free for all. Gives us something to talk about other than just the news of the day. Although we did spend a lot of time on that breaking news, but it was a rip roaring good time.
It was a good show. I love talking about litigation in video games. It's a weird combination, but it's good.
All right. So unless you have anything else, Scotty?
I think I'm good as gold, bud.
So for Scotty R37, I am Steve Foley. Have a great day, everybody.
See you guys.